Welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving straight into a totally fascinating and honestly highly opinionated manifesto recently published by a group called Linkspreed. They've sparked a pretty fiery conversation about digital sovereignty, data practices, and what they refer to as the digital dragnet. We're going to look really closely at their recent clash with Meta, specifically regarding Instagram, and break down their arguments about the future of the internet. And look, whether you agree with their conclusions or not, the points they raise touch literally every single one of us who uses a smartphone.
So, right off the bat, I want you to imagine a scenario. Picture that sudden, sinking anxiety of waking up, picking up your phone, and realizing you've been completely locked out of your digital life. Your followers, your community, your contacts, all of it, just inaccessible behind a suspension screen. It begs a really important question. What exactly would you be willing to trade to regain access? It's basically a modern-day hostage situation. What is the true cost of getting your account back?
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the Instagram ambush, a suspended account and a heavy ransom.
Let's look at the specific case study that actually triggered this entire manifesto. Earlier this month, Linkspreed's official Instagram account was temporarily suspended, and get this, entirely without warning. Now, to be totally clear, the platform did eventually restore their access. However, Linkspreed argues that the price demanded by Meta for this restoration was far more invasive than just clicking a link for a simple password reset. They view this incident not as a random technical glitch, but as a chilling case study in corporate data extraction.
According to the source material, to verify the identity of the account owners, Meta demanded two very specific pieces of information. Step 1, a verified phone number. Step 2, a video selfie. Let's really think about what that means. A phone number isn't just a random string of digits, right? It's a direct link to your physical identity and your real-world location. And a video selfie? Well, that captures the unique facial structure of the user through their own device's camera. Fun fact, a standard video selfie can map thousands of unique data points on your face in just seconds. It is raw, permanent biometric data.
Moving right along to Section 2, Security or Mass Surveillance, Deconstructing the Demands.
All right, let's shift entirely into Linkspreed's perspective here to understand why they found these demands so deeply problematic. They outlined three core grievances. First, they call it data grabbing. They argue there is absolutely zero technical necessity for a social network to possess your biometric facial structure or private phone number just to let you post updates or have a digital conversation. Second is tracking and profiling. By forcing a user to link a highly personal selfie and a phone number to an account, Linkspreed argues Meta is essentially completing a 360-degree profile. In their view, this makes it basically impossible to exist on the platform without being permanently indexed and tracked. Finally, there's what they call the trust gap. They assert that asking users to blindly trust a corporation, especially one with a well-documented history of privacy scandals, to handle sensitive biometric data is just a massive overreach.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core tension at the heart of our explainer today. On one side, we have Meta's stated stance. These requirements are simply necessary safety measures designed to combat malicious bots and keep the platform secure. On the exact opposite side, we have Linkspreed's argument. They claim this is not about security at all, but rather a transparent, deliberate move toward mass surveillance. Now, we aren't here to declare a winner, but understanding this fundamental clash of perspectives is absolutely vital for understanding the rest of their manifesto.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Web 2 dead end, and the illusion of ownership.
Zooming out from that specific Instagram incident, the authors use their experience to launch a much broader critique of the internet as we know it today. The crucial point here is that Linkspreed believes this suspension exposes a fundamental flaw of the Web 2 era. And the flaw is simply this: you do not actually own your digital identity. In their view, the modern internet has essentially devolved into a series of centralized walled gardens. Meta owns the servers, they own the code, and therefore centralized algorithms have the power to instantly hold entire communities hostage if they deem a voice suspicious. Linkspreed argues that in this model, users aren't the owners at all. We're just the product being controlled and extracted for value.
The authors summarize this frustration with a really powerful rallying cry. They say, we must stop building our digital homes on rented land. Just pause for a second and reflect on that. How much of your digital footprint, your photos, your professional network, your audience, exists on servers that you have absolutely zero control over?
Section 4, the Web 4 alternative, choosing independence over extraction.
So let's see how this builds into the actual solution Linkspreed is proposing, because they aren't just complaining here, they're actively advocating for a completely new framework.
They argue that we've clearly seen the limits of Web 2, and they also point out that the complexity of Web 3, which relies super heavily on blockchain and crypto, has honestly left a lot of everyday users behind. Their proposed solution is what they call Web 4, specifically through their platform, web4.community. In this proposed evolution of the internet, the idea is that you can build your own social network entirely independently. Instead of being just a data point targeted by an algorithm, the community itself acts as the architect, enjoying complete autonomy.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast. It's a direct one-to-one comparison taken straight from their manifesto, and it perfectly visualizes their pitch. Under data ownership, Web 2 means Meta owns your data, while Web 4 means you own it. For verification, Meta uses biometric selfies and phone tracking, whereas Web 4 uses something called UID. For identity proof, it contrasts surveillance-based tracking against personhood verification. And finally, independence, being subject to corporate censorship versus having complete community autonomy.
Section 5. Reclaiming your identity and the power of UEID.
Now, you might be wondering how on earth you verify users without things like phone numbers and selfies. Well, this brings us to the specific technological mechanism Linkspreed champions. They propose a system called UID, which stands for Universal Independent ID. Linkspreed defines this as a method of personhood verification. The goal here is simple. Prove that a user is a real, live human being without ever having to surrender biometric data like a video of your face and without tracking your physical location via a phone number. They believe this specific technology is the absolute key to maintaining a vibrant digital presence while fiercely protecting your personal privacy.
The manifesto wraps up with a pretty massive rallying cry to creators, businesses, and really just everyday individuals. They declare, "The era of begging for access to your own followers is over." It's a wake-up call, urging people to reclaim their digital sovereignty, to stop viewing themselves as just data points waiting to be mined, and to start moving toward independent platforms that structurally respect privacy rather than exploiting it.
Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on as we wrap up today's explainer. Take a hard look at your own digital life, the accounts you hold dear, and the data you've traded to keep them. Will your digital future be dictated by a centralized dragnet, or will it be built by your own rules? It's a really complex question with no easy answers, but it's definitely one we all need to start asking. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.